everybody, welcome back to another world building episode. I'm joined again by Amy.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. Yeah, I'm good. Same old. Today we are going to be taking a second look at more of the World Anvil Summer Camp 2020 prompts. By the time this goes up, the event will have ended, I think. Because it's actually just during July, but we are recording this still in July, so there's a little bit of audio time traveling for you. I was so confident when I was starting this that I was like, yeah, I'm going to do a normal intro to a podcast, but
you've got a bit of wiggle room. Yeah,
immediately off the rails. But yeah, last time we talked about meteor impact. We talked about Cheese Wheel Day. We talked a little bit about the town of Steamhold, and there was something else, wasn't there? Oh, yeah.
Coffee.
Yes, that was it. Yeah. I haven't quite figured out how I'm going to fit that into an article yet about the Comet Coffee franchise, but I feel like...
Well... there is a prompt that says describe a vehicle in your world that brings joy whenever it arrives, and I would assume that Comet Coffee on coffee cart as it arrived would list lots of joy.
I like
for
it.
The coffee lover.
I really like it. That's perfect actually for that. Yeah,
a franchise. It's a franchise now.
Yeah, and they're all on carts. There's very few premises apart from the original in like Steamhold or something.
Yeah.
But the elf who ran it is very shrewd and has sold the rights to like it, but like with the clause in it that you have to work out of a cart. Mm-hmm. You can't open a location.
He's worked out of a cart for a millennia, so can you.
Yeah. Once you put in your 1,000 years, you can think about buying a small shop. And
or wheels.
Oh, I was picturing like
I was thinking like a little. It was like a little like. It only had 2 wheels, and you had to pick it up at one end and like wheel it along.
Oh, I was kind of thinking that.
But I was adding like if you add more wheels, then it's a little bit more easier to like hook up to a horse.
Okay, yeah. So like the really successful ones are maybe allowed to hook it to a horse, but until then you got to put in the hours.
Yeah, you've got to put in the legwork to push it around.
Yeah, you don't get coffee without putting in the blood, sweat, and tears and beans.
You see that hill? I've climbed that hill for a millennia. What have you done?
Well, I'm mining that hill. Yeah, but you haven't climbed it, have you?
With a cart.
Both ways.
Full of coffee and water.
But yeah, that was one thing we were talking about. Oh yeah, also we were talking about vaguely about somebody who worked in the shadows, wasn't it, to secretly control things?
The monks.
Yeah, well, there was that. That was an option,
monk.
And there was the the sister of a baron or something as well, wasn't there? Who was secretly actually making all the decisions. Yeah,
she was the one behind the scene because he couldn't read or write and was absolutely useless at ruling, and she was like the one who was like, help me, sister, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And he just basically had to sign stuff.
Just
she was
put
the one that was
sign
really
here
in
with
power.
An X sort of thing.
Yeah. Leave your signet ring, Mark. Your signet ring.
I haven't gotten around to actually writing an article for that yet, but I do think I am going to for that. That's going to be for that prompt. I've written articles for Steamhold. I've written articles for Cheese Wheel Day. I've written an article for the Great Valar Impact, which is I think what we kind of came up with for the meteor hit. I've also written an unrelated thing to what we were talking about the headquarters of the Explorers Guild, called Pioneer Hall. But yeah, we've got quite a lot of prompts still to play with today. So I think, where would you want to start? There's a couple that we kind of talked about pre-recording. What are you thinking?
What was the one that you were?
Oh well, I'd sort of there's a prompt here. Okay, I'll read it in full as written by the good folks at World Anvil. Write about an organisation in your world that's become so powerful it's above the law. I had the idea for this. Yeah, I had the idea for this that maybe for a guild of assassins who are sort of kind of not, they're sort of high class, like high class. I don't like they're not just like random sort of sell sword kind of hitmen kind of thing. This is like a proper sort
they
of
choose who they work for.
Yeah. They're so they're price. They're the best they are. They're the best there is at what they do, which I think is what they say about Wolverine. But they're the only people who can afford them are like the richest of the rich in the world, sort of thing. And like, if you've heard of them, you are definitely one of the 1%, sort of thing. And as you say, I mean, you put that forward, like they pick and choose who they.
Yeah, I mean, they could, if they're a very secretive organization as well. I'd imagine that they wouldn't want to involve themselves in something that's gonna tip the balance, kind of thing. I think they're more of like they kind of like keep a level playing field, maybe.
Yeah, they're more kind of, they don't get involved in the actual. They don't have their own motivation in the political sort of sphere.
Yeah, they're kind of neutral, so they want to keep everything kind of. I would imagine they want to keep everything neutral,
maybe
so
like
or chaotic a little bit, but not tip the scales too much.
So say like they've got no qualms with like taking the large payment for assassinating a duke, and then taking another large payment to take out the people who hired them to take out the duke, sort of thing. It's
kinda, yeah.
So long as there's their secrecy and their way of like life is preserved, they are picky, maybe, like, but the pickiness maybe extends to like, will this expose us rather than what will the long term, is this good for us rather than like, is this bad for us? That's the two things. Like, will this cause harm to the guild, or is this just is this a job that really the fallout from us taking out this target isn't going to come back on us? And if the answer to that's no, then they'll take the job, sort of thing.
Yeah, and we talked about this off stream a little as well, that if they have a representative court, there's maybe like a pin or something that distinguishes them, but if someone was to approach them for their services, so to speak, they would have to take the request to like their superior or a guild master within their organization, and if they allowed it, then they would set up a meeting, kind of thing. Or
like it's all through an intermediary to begin with, sort of thing.
And if something happens to the representative, then I'd imagine that the organization would probably find that killer very quickly.
Yeah, like the people doing the hiring never actually meet any of the actual assassins, as far as they know, maybe. Like, I mean, well, this is another layer to it, whether this is all just like another kind of layer of mystique that actually, no, they do, the representative that they, are under the impression is just like, oh, this is a lowly kind of like, this person that we're having to talk to is a nobody and so far removed, but actually that is probably the assassin that's going to be doing the job.
I mean, you talked about having them wear masks, porcelain masks. Maybe the mask is like has a design or something that maybe represents like a hierarchy within the organization, or even just plainly hides the identity completely.
Yeah, so nobody in the organization, other than maybe the guildmaster, knows who anybody else is in there. Yeah.
So maybe the only time that they remove their mask is in front of the guildmaster, kind of thing.
And the guildmaster never removes their mask.
Yeah.
Well, the idea I'd had was like, it's like the only sort of, my thinking to this wasn't that deep. I didn't have a lot of details really. I just thought it would be. This is maybe a little bit too much of a look inside how my brain works when it comes to world building. It's never like, so how would this work? How would it? Not at least not initially. My starting point is always like, oh, that would look cool, or like, or like, oh, isn't that messed up? Or like, oh, oh man, that would be badass, you know.
I just throw ideas at you and see if you like them or not. That's really what I just throw. I just throw ideas out. Like, oh, what about this?
Well, the wouldn't that be cool idea I had for this, and that was about as deep as it went, was that maybe the guildmaster has like a full face kind of like, you know, absolutely no features showing kind of mask.
Oh yeah,
that's like complete, and they wear
and
like a hooded robe as
something.
Well. So they're and it's like a porcelain mask, and like maybe nobody knows how they're seeing and hearing and talking out of it. So it looks almost like they've got a completely blank face.
All right.
That was kind of the idea. So like, it almost kind of like an idea of like, well, the person talking to them is going to be projecting their own insecurities or whatever, or their own ideas onto who it is that's talking to them. But just to fully things, you know, lay in like no one will ever find out who this person is, sort of thing. Yeah. I'm also, again, this is just saying that. Then I can't help but think it's a little bit of a kind of shadow broker from Mass Effect kind of thing there. Like no one knows who the shadow broker is except for until you do that mission and find out it's like a random giant creature sort of thing.
Having only played a little bit of Mass Effect because I cannot shoot in games to save my life, I have probably not ever seen that.
Okay, well, it comes more in on like it's one of those things that in the first one is just a bit of world building as like a name that gets dropped as like, oh, the shadow broker. It's like a kind of spy master type sort of person who, you know, knows everything about everything sort of thing. And then there's a DLC in the second game where you have to break into the shadow broker's lair and stuff. It's pretty cool. Well, anyway, the idea then was like that not even any of the shadow broker's people know who the shadow broker is, was where I was going with that. So I was kind of thinking that kind of vibe of like, no one in the organization knows who anybody else is, but they are all, but again, with the flip side of it of like, they are all pretty fancy. So, you know, they're paid well by their clients. So, you know, there's a certain level of sort of lifestyle that goes with that sort of thing. I don't think I've said it yet, but the name I'd kind of come up with was the Velvet Court. Which I know kind of has a connotation of like, they're sort of like an alternative royal court or something, but I just kind of had an idea that maybe they've just got like not delusions of grandeur, because they are very, you know, skilled at what they do, but like a little bit of a sort of delusion of like their structure is kind of like a royal family sort of thing.
Yeah.
So like they do have a king. So like the guy with the guy or girl who or whatever is like wears like a porcelain mask and goes by like the porcelain king or something. And then it's sort of, there's like a bit of a kind of hierarchy below that.
I mean, maybe even the court itself exists. Like they obviously you'd have to have some sort of like
they'd need a meeting
base of
place.
operations.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just where the assassins are trained, or where they receive their orders, maybe. And to be invited to the court is either a death sentence or a gift.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Like once you're in, sort of thing.
Yeah. And you're in for life.
No one leaves the Velvet Court.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way of leaving completely unless you're dead. I mean, because you could have like a storyline with like a renegade one, and the court is trying to get him back, or they're trying to hunt him, or the court appeals for help, kind of thing, and hunting this like fugitive down. And yeah, I've been writing too many like conspiracy and twisted
wheels
twists.
within wheels.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's
twist
good.
Within twist.
I like the idea that maybe it's kind of I'm getting kind of vibes of, again, we're sort of jumping between different like examples from other like media and that, but like maybe their headquarters / base / whatever / I'm getting flashes of maybe there's a lot of tapestries and stuff. It's quite fancy, but maybe it's kind of like actually underground sort of thing. Because I think it would be quite blatant to have it in like an actual place that's easily found, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd imagine it would be like secluded somewhere or hidden away and very difficult to like, or maybe even it's got like magical protections or something.
There's like a secret entrance or something.
Yeah, there's like you can only find the entrance on a certain day or something. Or
yeah, I like that.
Because I can imagine they would want to be as secretive as possible, so they would make it as difficult as possible for their home or ancestral like grounds to be found. Because I'd imagine that it would have been something that's existed for generations or thousands of years.
Yeah, they're not new.
Yeah.
Or unless there's like I'm still thinking hidden, but like rather than it being like super remote, maybe it's literally like below the capital city.
Yeah, maybe like the old city that's been like
been built on top of,
city.
And they've got like this compound, like underground, like not like what you can just stick a spade in and suddenly go through the roof into their their thing.
No.
But like there's like a secret entranceway in like hidden inside one of the city walls or something.
Yeah, and it's like a labyrinth or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking
there's
like
only one real passage to get there, kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's like illusory
and all the others
terrain
lead to death.
and like traps and maybe you can
and
only get there
all these other dead ends.
Maybe you can only get there from like the harbour area, like but at low tide or something. I don't know. That adds another extra layer of complication to it.
Yeah, I mean those kind of details can be worked out later, but
so like a kind of like
overall,
in through a sewer pipe sort of thing.
I mean, you could probably have multiple entrances and exits, but only a select few know each one, kind of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So that the secret of nobody knows the complete secret of their lair, kind of thing.
And different entrances open to different ranks in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
So by the time you get to be the Grandmaster, you know all the ins and outs, and you can go and come and go as you please. But the lowest of the low kind of
only knows one.
Yeah, only knows one way in, and it's a little bit hard and tricky to get through. And that, but by the time you're the Grandmaster, you've got an easy route, but it would still only open for you, sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's where the pin or if they have a signet ring or something that activates like safe passage for them.
Yeah,
the higher up they go, they get a different ring or a different pin or something, and that shows their hierarchy as well, like kind of thing.
Yeah,
because I'd imagine that they'd have some sort
kind of maybe it's like maybe the I'm thinking they all wear masks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the masks are of all fairly similar design, but there's like little kind of, I don't know, markings under the eyes or something.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
On the mask. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
To denote the rank, but or maybe it's like a reverse thing, like you start off with a mask with more features, and then as you go up the ranks, there's less and less features on the mask.
Or maybe it's not even a full mask. Maybe you just get your eyes, like an eye mask, like one of those.
To begin with. Yeah,
and then as you progress, it gets the fuller the face is, the more of the face is covered.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. And then
so that they're kind of erasing their identity almost
as they go, and it would sort of imply that like maybe even though they're still the best, they're not expecting the lowly ones. Like if you survive long enough and you're good enough at doing your job to progress, then you're sort of the number. Maybe it's like an indication of like no witnesses sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Like if you've got the mask and you're still proving yourself, there's more of a chance that you'll get found out because you've got. I don't know. Maybe that's another angle that doesn't need to be explored there. Really, I'm sort of overthinking it. Maybe I mean,
this is what I'm saying. It's like you don't have to come up with like in-depth details right now. And these can always be like expanded later. That's
something I have to do in the next few days if I want to have this article count for the summer camp thing. But I like that there's sort of that you're losing the higher, the more you go, the less identifying features you have, sort of thing. And then by the time you're ahead of it, like no one can see they don't know your species, they don't know your
it's kind of an erasure.
They don't know anything.
Yeah, it's kind of an erasure of their identity almost. The more, but then also mass covers.
Yeah, but that also allows them to have an even more secret. Well, no, not even only secret then to the people who know that they're the Grand Master. Like, so they could be the most out there sort of well-known person in public eye, but they're also the Grand Master, and no one would know that they're the Grand Master.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's the king. I'm just no, you know what I mean. Like, there's no there's no way it could be anybody. So that No, that was 100% a joke. I'm not the king in our setting is not also the head of the assassins. Or is he?
But who's to say he's not?
Who's to say?
Who's to say he's not?
Yeah. But I'm
sure they've probably had royal blood in their ranks. They've probably cherry picked a few people, I imagine.
Lesser sons or cousins or whoever.
I mean, I bet you if they recruited a lowly thief, there would have been outrage within the court, within the Velvet Court.
Yeah.
Because you could have a whole thing like that as well. That would be quite funny.
Maybe there is there's definitely a skill thing to it. So they are the best at what they do. So that if like a lowly thief was good enough to get in, that would be one thing. But it would be like the sort of a bit like the public school thing of well, you don't come from privilege, sort of thing. But
exactly.
But a large number of them do come from families with money as it is. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
But maybe weren't in line to be. They were fourth in line to inherit the family estate. So they went into this instead. It's not it's not going to be the one who's going to be the lord. If that makes sense.
You have a choice between the Assassin's Guild or the Church. Which do you prefer? Well, I like killing people, so I'm going to join the Assassins.
But father, I just want to paint. No, it's murder or
death or cake. Cake or death. Cake or death. Death or cake.
It always comes back to tea and cake or death.
I love that sketch so much.
So good. It's Eddie Izzard, right?
Yeah, it's Eddie Izzard.
I haven't watched those. That's an older DVD. I had this is 100% a tangent. I had a box set of 4 or 5 Eddie Izzard stand-up shows, and I lent it to a friend of mine who I used to live with, and never got it back. And then I moved out. And what I'm saying is, Lee, if you're listening, I still want my Eddie Izzard box set back. I know it's been 13 years, but.
I think they're gone now.
Yeah, those DVDs are long gone. Save for my Blu-ray copy of Planet Earth.
Oh,
that's right. I've rebought it. Anyway, back to yeah. So I like that as an organization that's above the law, and the above the law thing. Maybe they're so because this is kind of a class thing as well. Because their price is so much because only the sort of creme de la creme of society know about them. They're not about to be calling the calling the cops on them. City Watch, whatever.
I'd imagine so, because they're in the court, that the only law that would be that they would have to obey maybe is a king's command kind of thing. And even then, kings get killed all the time, so
yeah, well, maybe that's a kind of, I mean, they've got to have a sliding price scale, and it would have to be only on the order of the actual guild master, the porcelain king or whatever we want to call him. Only that's the only time they go in for knocking off heads of state, sort of thing. Like it has to be like
or
a decision.
unless the king was like an actual threat to everything.
Yeah. Well, like I said
there's
earlier,
a mad
like
king or something.
It's a But no, 'cause I was thinking like they only act if it's if it's going to be in service to them. So if taking out the king would expose them, then they would maybe think twice about it. But like I say, it depends how kind of good because they're obviously not good people. But depends how
they're assassins, so I'd imagine they'd be able to like pin things on other people.
Oh yeah, they're the kings of like dropping evidence that points to like the that maybe that's part of like the initial interview when they're being hired for a job is like, okay, so who do you want us to make it look like did this?
Do you want it to look like an accident, murder, or suicide?
Or all three. That's special.
Yeah. That's what we call a triple special.
It'll cost you extra, but it'll be talked about for years to come.
Yes, and we shall design it with such flair.
Did you hear about the Duke of so-and-so? He died in an accidental murder-suicide.
He tried to kill his wife, but she stabbed him with a stuffed pig.
He accidentally slipped down the stairs, stabbed himself 3 times in the back, and his body fell on a meek orphan child who was working in the kitchens and happened to be carrying a knife. It's such a shame. So we can pivot from this prompt into a second one, which is describe a common item that's used as a secret symbol. So we thought like of how would they get in touch with the Velvet Court if it's all presumably done initially through intermediaries sort of thing. I kind of half jokingly before we started recording said tie like a velvet ribbon around a candlestick, but that's kind of dumb. I was kind of thinking in terms of like X-Files where Mulder's putting like a blue light bulb in his light by the window and putting an X on the window and like in tape when he wants to talk to his informants and stuff. But even that's still pretty, bat signal. I don't know, because there's got to be some kind of way to, like, it would be it said it's a common item. So I mean, the item's common, but it needs to be sort of like how would the Velvet Court know that this is a thing? And maybe it's like. There's a particular sort of item that because presumably all like the noble houses, they have their intrigue and like they all kind of attend court and stuff, like proper court, but not like not like
like medieval court.
Not like law courts. Like on a regular basis, like they're there.
Why don't they like have a letter, but the ink that they use is like a magical kind of ink which they can buy anywhere, but the method of like writing the letter and then maybe burning it, and it maybe magically sends the letter to the organization, maybe that way that the what they want is kept secret because it's burnt and only the Assassin's Guild receive it or something like that. Or is there do you want to have it an easier way? Or?
Well, I was thinking more that like it was kind of like a way of, rather than it, because that's more kind of like you're sending a message to them, like a specific sort of letter message. I was thinking more of it was kind of like a don't call us, we'll call you sort of thing. So it is literally like a common item. So maybe it is like there's a particular way of, like, I don't know. I was thinking like items of clothing and stuff, like there's a particular combination of things that when you wear them, they kind of,
so maybe
they kind of insinuate that you're looking to talk to a representative kind of thing.
Maybe they leave like a velvet handkerchief somewhere. Like in a place, I don't know, somewhere. And then they maybe leave something else velvet somewhere else. And then they have a third one somewhere else. And that way, if there's like three velvet items somewhere, that like not summons them, but like makes them aware that someone wants to interact with like their associate, and their intermediary like then approaches.
Well, I was thinking like they'd have like eyes at court kind of thing. So
yeah.
A person could like wear like, I don't know, maybe like a particular flower or something worn.
Yeah, that works as well.
Worn in like a particular place, like I don't know, like you I don't know flowers, but like a particular type of orchid. If you wear that, it would be noticed by the unseen observers, and that evening you would be contacted, sort of thing.
Yes, someone will just approach your bedroom door with a message. I believe so and so would like to speak with someone of the Velvet Court.
I mean, am I about to have to Google orchids to try and find something that?
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah,
I know nothing about flowers.
This is not my
I mean, it doesn't have to be flowers. It could be like the way that they're, the pocket handkerchief that some people wear in their like suit jackets. It could be like the way that it's folded in their jacket or something, or
that would be a bit more subtle, wouldn't it? If you wear, or even you carry a red velvet handkerchief as a pocket square, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know that. Although is that too common? Is that going to lead to like a lot of people who were just wearing it as a fashion thing, just getting contacted by like, we heard you want to talk. Who are you? Like, oh, sorry, we've made a mistake here. You cannot live.
Sorry, we've exposed ourselves. Time for you to die.
Yeah, but no, something like that. Maybe it's like it's got a particular pattern on it or something. I think we're getting too into the weeds here of like...
Yeah, it needs some brainstorming, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe a little bit of research for like what things at court might have been.
I mean, maybe it's... Okay, here's a thought. Maybe rather than it being like a pocket thing, maybe it's like a specific, like a ring made of noticeably like a silver ring worn on the wrong hand or something.
Yeah, no, that works.
So like
something, it's just subtle.
Yeah, like it wouldn't be noticed by most people.
Or maybe it's their own signet ring and it's on the wrong finger.
That's perfect. So like it was not going to be noticed by most people, but the watchers at court are so observant.
Or even it's a subtle change from one finger to another. That's the signal.
Yeah. So like...
And then it's shifted back again. And then if it's like... Because you could have it that they do it a number of times to show that they're serious about it. But it's only done like discreetly and...
Yeah.
Like... Well, almost absently done kind of thing. Or just the change itself.
I'm not a ring person. Traditionally, a signet ring is worn on a pinky finger.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it always on the? What is it? I'm just kind of.
I think it's on I think it's on the right hand.
I
think. I don't know.
Index. Okay, the index or pointer. It says or pointer. It's an index finger. We're not American. Used for class rings, fraternal rings, family or membership crests. So maybe that ring, if that's moved to the... I was going to say to the middle finger, but that's
maybe
showing you want something to get fucked up. But so yeah, that's like you would, if that's the thing of like you would always keep your family crest, like your signet, maybe different signet family, your family ring. If that's always on your index finger and you move that to your third finger, that would be the symbol. Because like that would be like a recognizable piece of like noble jewelry is the family ring. But it's subtle enough a move that it's not going to be noticed straight away unless you're looking for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know.
I think that seems like a more reasonable cue, so to speak, than like wearing a flower, or because it's subtle enough.
Yeah,
it's very easily like, and if like someone who's like, oh, you've got your ring on the wrong finger, you're like, oh, so I have, and then just puts it right. I was in a rush, kind of.
Yeah,
it's very more excusable than
because if it's like the flower,
else.
then maybe if the person trying to hire them doesn't normally wear a flower, it's going to super stand out to everybody.
Yeah,
and if the other people have also previously hired this guild, they're going to be like, oh shit, that guy's wearing the orchid. Oh no, like
orchid of death.
You know what I mean, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But if it's like just a subtle kind of like, I moved that finger to that, I moved that ring to that finger, or just I wore it on that finger that morning, was at court for an hour. That's all they needed, sort of thing. You know, that's a bit more subtle. You know.
Yeah.
It's just an indication that you want to talk, and then they don't contact you at court. You will hear from them.
They'll contact you.
Yeah,
if they're intrigued enough if they're intrigued enough. I'd imagine that they'd probably have like some requests where they're like, oh no, I don't want to talk to them.
Well,
no.
Or maybe their information is such that they would know whether someone could afford their services. So if they know they're not going to, if the person who's doing it is not going to be able to hire, pay them what they want anyway, they're not even going to respond.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that as like a kind of, it's a family ring, so a lot of people are going to have them anyway, and it's just like a subtle kind of thing. I like that as a thing, because that it would be a common item, at least in the noble family sort of thing. You know.
Oh yeah, I mean, I imagine that they'd all have either a signet ring or will be expecting a signet ring to be passed down, because usually they're passed down, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, we could even, because it's our own setting, change it so that like it's not just the lord who has a signet ring, but the lord has the most ornate one of the family.
Yeah.
So like maybe like the younger brother has one as well that has like a slight modification to the crest that's his own personal sort of thing, you know.
Or maybe it's just simpler.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
less scroll work and stuff, and
yeah,
I like that.
It's plainer than the head of the family's one. The head of the household has like the most, probably the ornatest one.
Yeah, made of gold.
Everybody else has
got gems, or maybe not gems, but it's like nicer, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the one that has that does the seals for their own affairs and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, everybody would have a ring though for sending letters, but you would know that this is the head of the family, kind of. This one.
Yeah.
I'm really not a jewelry guy, so like, this is
I only know so much.
Yeah.
I know, but the signet rings were very common in like medieval times, and even earlier than that, for like sealing their own works and stuff, and so that you knew it was from.
Oh yeah, I mean, in a historical context, I just mean like I don't wear rings and jewelry and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I don't even wear my engagement ring because I'm not allowed to wear it at work. So I'm like, I can wear my engagement ring while I'm on holiday.
You don't want to lose that.
Yeah, I don't want to lose that in bread.
It's the most expensive loaf ever. Yeah, better safe than sorry on that front, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like that as like a sort of. I think we've kind of twisted the prompt a little bit because it uses a secret symbol. I think the original thought was like a kind of thieves, like, or like a mark on the end of a gatepost sort of thing. But like, I like the idea that like we've tied it into the other thing we've come up with as well, which is.
But it's a secret symbol to use to get the attention of the guilds,
definitely
the court, the Velvet Court. So yeah, it's still a common item that uses a secret symbol. So.
There is a prompt that is kind of similar to that on here as well, which is write about a secret code or cipher in your world, who uses it and for what purpose. But that prompt is under the language template. So that I think would be more like a secret code of,
Yeah, like a Fibonacci code or something like that.
Or like thieves can't sort of
Glyphs
secret language
like
kind
that.
of thing.
Yeah.
So, I think we've gone with the right one. A common item used for a secret symbol. I like that. Should we move on? Let's move on to something else. So there were a couple of other ones, weren't there, that sort of jumped out at us.
I like the idea that we had for there was one that we had where describe a commonly found document in your world.
Yes.
Like what's in it and what it is for. And we were talking about this earlier about a little almanac.
Yeah, like an almanac kind of thing that like it's like really cheaply produced sort of but every year. And this kind of fits in with the sort of village sort of there's quite a lot, it's a lot of small villages and like with sort of quasi-medieval sort of vibe to the setting anyway. That like farms almanacs are still a thing, I think, aren't they? Although I guess it's probably all online now. But yeah, they definitely were a real thing of like you get your annual book that would tell you when all of the like the best times for seeding fields were and stuff, and what the phases of the moon were going to be, when they were going to be, and stuff like that. I mean, in a similar vibe, I live on a coastal town with there's a couple of different sailing clubs, and there's a couple of like marine shops around here where you can get tide tables.
Oh yeah,
and things.
Yeah,
so
for like fishing and things like that.
Yeah. So maybe there's like a common. We can fold all those things into this sort of common almanac that's like put out by, like, I don't know, some publisher somewhere, like in the capital or something, that is like frowned upon by like the more kind of like academic, like, oh, they're putting out, but they're actually the only publisher really that's making money hand over fist because everybody buys one of these books.
And they're always everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, because they're putting out one a year. They're making them cheaply. And I'm thinking the other sort of side of it that we were kind of joking back and forth about was, I said maybe if it was a little bit kind of like part almanac, part Reader's Digest. So
with a little story.
Yeah.
A really badly written story from like every year. There's like a couple of stories from like some authors that are really bad.
Like they take submissions. Maybe that's part of it as well. And like, everybody wants to get into I want to be published in this year's almanac. So, like there's some like budding authors and.
I just have this image of some little like maid or housewife or like housekeeper that like always buys them every year for like the one. Like there's always like some stupid like smutty story or something for like the little housewives, and that's why it always gets bought because of that one little story. It's a little like smut story or like stupid like cheap crappy steamy novel or something like that. And that's the only reason that they get sold.
There's someone writing the like Valana equivalent of like 50 Shades of Grey, but like they're releasing it like a chapter a year in this almanac, and also maybe there's like an agony aunt page section and everything, except there's magic, so there's going to be all kinds of weird complaints and stuff like I used last year I used the love potion that was recommended in this digest, and it failed to work. I am so disappointed that the advice given did not result in my future love. It's like points of view.
Yes. It's basically just kind of like an advice, a section of it. It's just advice and complaints.
Oh, it's Dear Deirdre, but we could come up with an equivalent of Dear Deirdre.
It should be a guy. It should be Dear Donald.
Oh yeah. And he's just like maybe he's like super good at advice. He's just like a really chill guy who knows what's going on, and he's got his head on his shoulders, and he's just dispensing advice.
Yeah. He's
like
just
it.
really good at. He's just a really conscientious person who just wants everybody to get along, but he doesn't like take. He's not one of these like pushover and isn't a doormat or anything. But he's just like he always gives like the best advice at the right time.
Yeah. Oh, they only putting these out once a year as well, though. So like, it's kind of. There's probably a thing of it of like maybe the problems aren't problems anymore by the time it's put out, but like people will still find some use in it. Like by and large, like the actual individual person's probably moved on from their problem. by the time it goes to press. But yeah,
it could be just like, or it could be like a psychic or something. It gives them like, if you're a Virgo,
like an actual psychic.
This is your year. Yeah, like an actual psychic. If you're a Virgo, this is your year for blah 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 blah. Now plant your seeds and watch them grow, kind of thing.
I like the idea that there would maybe be actually like, there'd be some like excerpts of like people who are trying to get into it are like budding reporters and stuff. Like, they know it's not news by the time it goes out, but like they're like, oh, I want to get into this year's almanac. I'm going to go and try and get like an interview with this high, like this wizard. I'm going to talk. The wizard of our village saved us from this plague. I'm going to get an interview with him. We'll get it in the almanac. People will want to hear about this.
Yeah, they could and they could submit them as well and see which ones get in. And if they didn't get in, they'd be like, oh, maybe next year I'll try it again.
Maybe when it started being put out, it literally was like just a small pamphlet with like, here's the tide times and the field stuff, and then the person who was the original publisher, like, maybe that their child or something was like, can you put this in your book? And it's like a short story or something, and the guy really loved it, and he's like, I'll put it on the back page. Here's a short story by my son or by my daughter. And people really dug it, and they started sending their own stories in, and it's just like ballooned into this like proper, it's like a doorstop book every year almost. Of like
it's literally like the telephone book that gets delivered every now and again.
Yeah. And like, I like
there's
the
like
idea.
A stack of them in the pub.
Yeah, you know. But when a harsh winter comes around, you got to have some kindling. You know, you got to get some.
Oh God, could you imagine like the collectors of them though? Because there are definite people that collect like Reader's Digest.
And people who collect old newspapers. So somewhere in our setting, there's some gnome who's currently trapped under a fallen stack of them, screaming for help, but no one can hear him.
Or there's like an entire library dedicated to this almanac.
Oh yeah. No, it's like like this is the thing. It's like ridiculously popular because they sell them for like 5 silver, which I think. I mean, I keep the money vague, but like in terms of like that's that might be for like some low paid workers. That might be like a couple of it might be a couple of days' salary.
Yeah,
but over the course of the year, like they get a lot of stuff out of it, sort of thing. So like, but like so many people buy it because there's not a lot of publishing or entertainment for regular people because there's definitely not like televisions and things. So this year's almanac, almost the whole country buys it. This is why I sort of said like maybe so like the more academic like, oh well no, we're publishing scholarly works. They're like, we are real publishers, but like this person is just the person who run it is just
basically
making
like Hello Magazine kind of thing.
They're just making gold hand over fist because they're selling thousands upon thousands of copies of the almanac every year, and maybe like the person who's like, oh no, I'm this isn't publishing. No, what true publishing is, I am publishing the memoirs of the great arcanist so and so. I'm looking. I might even sell 100 copies if I'm lucky, sort of thing. You know. And meanwhile, like every year, they're selling maybe 100,000 copies of this almanac and just like raking it in, and people keep wanting more. You know. It's still got the useful stuff in, but it's just like full of like random like slice of life stuff. Yeah. Well, what are we going to call it? It's a
lifestyle magazine.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle magazine, basically. the world's first lifestyle magazine comes out, and it's like an inch thick, like or more. I mean, how much? That's pretty. Hang on, I've got a ruler here.
It's quite thick.
That's pretty thick, isn't
it? Probably one of the Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah. It's like hardcover sized, inch thick sort of thing every year. Well, what are we going to call it? I feel like, because the classic thing was like, I think it was Benjamin Franklin put out Poor Richard's Almanac in the revolutionary times. So maybe we can come up with some kind of pun on that. Poor Richard. My brain went like, call it Rich Dick's Almanac. But, but like a name's almanac is kind of
Ripley's Almanac.
Sort of, yeah, well, kind of like the Ripley's Believe It or Not sort of.
Yeah, that's what I was, because because some of the stuff in there is going to be unbelievable, but people are going to believe it.
Let me just jump onto fantasynamegenerator.com, which is a website which really serves me quite well. Who do you think? Okay, well, here's the thing. Here's the question then. Who's publishing it? Like, is it like a human guy, or is it like if they've been doing it for a while and it's like, because it's like a maybe the first like mass-produced printing thing, maybe it's like a dwarf who's just like an engineer sort of thing. And this is his sideline. He really just wanted to build like a really impressive trouser press and accidentally invented the printing press.
Well, maybe it's a combination. Maybe it's a friend of his, like maybe like a farmer or something who wanted to, like, in their village, they wanted to like spread some news and because you said about entertaining their kids and stuff, and like their kids writing stories and things. And maybe it was a way just to let everybody know what was going on in the like area, and then it kind of got popular, and they wanted to use it more. So, but he obviously can't hand make that many on that scale. So he went to a friend that had a printing press, or invented the printing press, or they came up with it together. Maybe.
Yeah, I like that. So, yeah.
Just like it started off a small little thing, and then
so it's like something and something's almanac. So it's like two surnames.
Yeah, that could work.
Are we thinking? What do we think? Smith and Jones. We're thinking like human and dwarf. What are we?
Yeah, because the human could be long dead, and the dwarf is continuing it in his memory. Maybe. Yeah.
I just keep clicking the dwarf name generator on this to see if it spits out a fun surname. I don't know. There's a lot of ones here. None of them really.
Right and right.
Right and right.
Right and right. Right and right. And it's W.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of these are long buster, that kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, okay. I like name and name. Maybe we'll have a think rather than sort of stumbling through names. But I like that. Something and something's almanac, and it comes out every year. That's. I really like that. Is there anything else we want to add to this one? Like any kind of extra twist? Or I don't know. I think there's a lot to play with there. There's a lot of options, especially if they're like taking submissions every year. So maybe every year is slightly different. They've got a few annual columnists. Yeah. So like I say, there's the kind of chapter by chapter smutty, the ongoing erotic adventures of Agnes or something. And all the the people, maybe there's farmers who buy it for the crop things and that, but there's so many villagers who buy it for the erotic adventures of Agnes, and there's people who. It's not just that. Yeah. There's other stories as well. Other stories as well.
But there's that one story that's going chapter by chapter.
I swear, Mum, I just got it for the articles.
I think it's hilarious. I think it would be hilarious if you had like a little misery theme going in there somewhere where they're trying to track down the author of that chapter.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's a great little side quest. Try and find
find the author.
Yeah, it's just that's just a fun story.
Rescue
it's like somebody goes on a quest to find the author of the erotic, whatever we call it, erotic adventures,
and they have to save them from like a mad fan. Yeah. Write the chapter. Write me the next chapter.
It's like the people calling for the last Game of Thrones book or the third book in Patrick Rothfuss's trilogy. They're like, when's the next chapter coming out?
When I finished it, bitch.
You think what have you got in mind as the person who's writing it then? Like, maybe it's like something like we're completely like against type as like it's like a kind of.
I think it's funny that it would be the story would be about a human, but it would be written by like a goblin or something.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Like it's a goblin, and like they nobody knows it's a goblin.
Yeah, exactly.
They send them in every year. Or
he just lives in his little house, and he's just a normal goblin. On the outside, he's just a normal goblin, but secretly he writes a lot of smutty fiction.
Like that. Goblin's quite good. I don't know how we've got. This is more like an in the weeds sort of like nitpicky sort of thing, but I don't know if we're thinking this is getting released. Like there's chapters have been going on for a few years to the point where it's got like a fan base. I don't know how long the goblin lifespan is.
Oh, that's true.
But like,
or it could be one of the creatures like an orc or something, and because I don't see an elf.
No,
bothering, because I sometimes think they're a little bit too stuck up in some ways to do it.
Yeah, I think it's funny if it's like you say, if it's like a goblin or an orc, or what if it's a dragon?
That kind of throws the let's track down the author kind of idea.
Yeah, I get maybe that was. I had this thought of like maybe it's like the dragon's like, yeah, sure they got this giant treasure hoard, but you know, if you're gonna sit on it all day, you gotta do something. So they write fan fiction. That's
true. They could be like dictating it to someone, and they're writing it out for them. Like maybe like a goblin is just their scribe. Kind of
some
thing.
Dragons can take human form. Like,
oh, that's true. Yeah.
So, I don't know. We're getting too into the. Yeah, that's a good
twist. Actually, that's a good twist that he does it in. He like hands it in human form.
And then goes back to his secret lair.
And then he just goes, and then he goes back to his secret lair and bees a dragon, and then starts writing his next one.
The heroes kind of like, well, maybe not even the heroes, but like somebody tracks them down and like realizes they're a dragon, calls like some heroes, thinking that the dragon's eaten the author. And then it turns out that no, the dragon like just wants to be left alone to write their stories. What is it with you people? Just I've got all this gold. I just want to write about.
I've got all this gold. I've got all this time.
I want to write erotic fiction.
I've nothing else much to do. Let's just write some smutty fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like this idea. It's fun.
Yeah. It's something to think about.
Because I could just imagine the adventurers' faces when they come across this dragon who writes smutty fan fiction. He's just like standing there with like a parchment and then a quill in one hand and going, "What are you doing here? This is my lair.
What are you doing in my lair? I'm in the middle of a story plotting session.
We're in a brainstorming session. What are you doing?"
Publishers are interested.
They want to make a chapter. I'll take all the chapters and put it into one volume. Can you imagine the money?
Maybe that's his long game. He's realised that fighting, like robbing villages and stuff, and like terrorising the countryside, only brings like angry people with swords and things. The real money is in erotica.
Everybody likes sex. Come on.
Yeah, like the treasure hoard is all from publishing. Like, it's.
These are all my royalties.
Yeah. Like so maybe the almanac sells for 5 silver, but they've realised quite early on that a lot of sales jumped by a lot when they started publishing.
Once the story
started. So they'd come to an arrangement that the almanac sells for 5 silver. They don't pay most of their contributors, but they do send like 1 or 2 of
they give money to the dragon.
Yeah, 1 or 2 silver from everything goes to the dragon. So the dragon's just sitting there collecting, occasionally going to the bank to change in human form to change all the silver to gold.
Yep, I prefer gold.
Yes,
but silver will do until I have enough.
Yeah. I like that. It's quite a silly story. We did have the other idea of talking.
It can all be a mystery until like.
Yeah, I mean we've talked about it on air now, but like Maybe that's just a story to write as like a short
point.
story or something rather than playing game. That would be a lot of hoops to jump through to get the correct like comedy beats in that. Especially now that we've kind of...
I mean, you could always have like snippets of the story itself. Like,
we can drop some hints
scattered about,
like little world building things of like somebody says like, "Oh, I'm a big fan of the stories, the almanac,"
or even like they come across like the almanac itself.
Oh yeah, no, there's so many copies of it floating about. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's one in the privy and stuff in every pub.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they know people
Reading
like to
material.
read. Yeah. Okay, well, we'd also thought about talking about describe an elite or highly specialized military unit, but we've actually been going for over an hour, so I think maybe
have we?
Yeah, we have. This has been this is this has been. I think that's a fun one to end on. Is the dragon who got rich through writing smut? So I think
it's not. It's just those trashy, stupid novels that you get.
Yeah. Like
is it Danielle Steele or whatever?
Oh yeah, so
those kind of novels.
This dragon is just
stupid,
pumping them out because they know they're going to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe the almanac story is just to get people in, and there's like, and it always ends with, maybe it's like a teaser chapter every year. It's not like one story every year, like the next chapter.
It's chapter by chapter.
I was thinking every year is like a new teaser for a new book. So
like a little excerpt.
Yeah, so it's basically, which will tie into the Reader's Digest thing, which does have excerpts, doesn't it? So maybe it is like the dragon is actually, and again, the dragon has like a deal with the same publisher. Like I say, they've invented the world's first printing press, and they're just cranking out these almanacs. But for the rest of the year, they're basically putting out this dragon's literary output, and they're raking it in, kind of thing.
Yeah, the almanac's like a like the exposure of like this year's new book kind of thing, like the little excerpt blurb at the back of a book, kind of it describes the new book coming out that year to get the hype up for the new book.
Yeah, because you get that in the back of like books as like, here's a sample bit of like the next one in the series.
Yeah, exactly. That could be like what's in the almanac. Yeah,
to get people to and it always ends with like, to find out what happens next, please contact so and so publishing for the full story and such. Yeah.
Reserve your copy.
Yeah.
By writing and sending in your 5 silver.
Yeah. I like it.
To be published at Harvestmere, kind of thing.
Yeah.
To be available from Harvestmere.
Yeah, this summer.
Yeah, exactly. This summer.
Corsets.
Cheryl.
Bodices will be ripped.
Cheryl is a poor maid until she meets Hank. The
dashing stable boy.
The dashing groom. Yeah, exactly. The dashing sailor boy? What
sailor boy. He was a skater boy. She said, see you later.
The dashing groomsman. Will they fall in love?
What will stand in the way of their love? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's perfect. Exactly. This has really devolved into just that. But I really like that as a concept of like a dragon who's learned that like if you take the gold by force, then the swords come. So let them pay you for let them pay you for some writing, which that maybe the dragon enjoys doing it, but doesn't find it's like naturally. It's just a dragon that had a lot of writing talent. So it's just like, well, yeah.
They live around for so long as well. They've probably seen all kinds of stuff throughout their lifetime and like seen all kinds of like silly stories like that or relationships like that.
Yeah. And this dragon's a pervert, so it watched a lot of people getting up to stuff. And just writing them down.
Dragon.
I'm not throwing the dragon under a bus or anything. I'm just saying, I think that's
just hasn't found love yet. That's what it is. He just hasn't found love yet.
Yeah, so he writes about the love of these mortals just to, keep his own heart alive or whatever. Yeah, I don't know.
in the hope that his lady love will find him.
Yeah.
Oh, feel sorry for him.
Yeah, so do I. What a fun story to end on. Yeah, as I said at the beginning, we by the time this goes up, summer camp will have ended. But you can always go onto our World Anvil page by googling "Pretending with Dice Valana." I think we found out last time, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
Yes, VALLANNA, and it comes up. Oh, that is not a very good place to find it because the first bunch of results are just me tweeting about the last episode. Okay. Oh, it does help if I actually spell pretending correctly.
Provides links.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get you there. Pretending with Dice World Anvil. That was it, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just Google Pretending with Dice World Anvil, you can find your way to our page, and you can read the full articles that we will have written based on this. But yeah, like I say, I mean, we've kind of we've only really touched on some of these World Anvil prompts. I do enjoy doing these community challenge ones because they, like I say, a lot of interesting jumping off points. I mean, we got from a commonly found document to a dragon who writes erotica, so it's it is fun.
This is what happens when you invite me to throw ideas at you.
No, it's good. It's always it always ends up in places I don't think my brain would go normally. Yeah.
You brought up Reader's Digest.
I did, yeah. No, I just mean, in terms of like, okay, we'll see where the conversation takes us. I'm not.
I know.
I'm not implying anything. So yeah, I think we will call it a day there. Unless you had anything else you wanted to add.
No, I think we're good.
Cool. Okay. Well, as always, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook. We're at Pretend with Dice. You can join our Discord server. We always talked about that the last couple of times. The link to which is in our Twitter bio. Come and hang out and join us for more. Share
the memes.
Yeah, because that is 90% of the posts on there is memes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. But yeah. So come on there and say hi. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing another world building episode for our next bonus episode, but we'll see. I don't know what's coming out next. But yes, very soon as well. I do want to reiterate we are going to be getting back to game episodes. I actually, in the last couple of days, did speak to the players again for our next one, and they're all still very much up for it. As soon as we can find a good social distancing friendly-ish solution to recording at the moment, without all getting the Roni. So are we still calling it the Roni? I feel like I'm
Rona?
Yeah, I've heard both different variations. I always found the Roni a bit funnier, but either way, yeah. So yes, that's still going to be coming up. We're going to be starting our new campaign as soon as we can figure that out, I think. So yeah, I don't think there's anything else to add. Like I say, we should hopefully be back with another bonus episode in 2 weeks' time. I don't know if it's going to be another world building one or something else, but watch this space, I guess. So yeah, that's it. That's the end. I'm definitely ending it better than I did last time, where you had to tell me to say bye. But yeah.
Bye, guys.
See you all later. Have a good one.